Well, let's start with how much power the king has to impose his political ideas, which are very emphatic and obvious. Technically, his powers are limited, but informally, doesn't he exercise a lot of influence?
Well, certainly he does exercise influence, but not undue influence. I think we sometimes forget, those of us who have a different view in relation to global warming, we forget that he is really reflecting, in many respects, the attitudes not only of the government of every realm, that is all of the countries of which he is king, but in addition, the leaders of the opposition of every one of those countries. Very few sitting politicians in any country take a stand against the current views, the received views on global warming. I think the last prominent one, who saw some, as you and I would think, reality, was President Trump. But most prime ministers, most presidents, certainly from the point of view of the king in relation to realms, most prime ministers, all prime ministers of those realms and all leaders of the opposition take the orthodox view, which is twofold, as you know. Firstly, a belief in the infallibility of the theory of man-made global warming, and secondly, in the infallibility too of the solution proposed in Paris, that is to say, net zero.
But wouldn't you agree that most monarchists find the idea of climate change a bit of a scam?
I think most active monarchists in Australia who belong to monarchist organisations are probably inclined to also suspect the theory of global warming. I think that's probably true. I'm not completely sure. I can think, for example, of one very leading monarchist who was very prominent in the foundation of Australians for Constitutional Monarchy, and I have no doubt that he would be very much in favour of the orthodox view.
Yes, well, the monarchy, from an Australian perspective, is a symbol of a bygone form of elitism, but elitism most often these days is applied to the climate cult and the people who are trying to impose it on us. So are the two joined at the hip, Professor?
Well, there are two types of elites. I think using the term elite in the sense used by American philosophers, political philosophers, actually refers to those on the left who hold prominent positions, particularly in universities and in the media and in politics, who take a view which is much akin to what Lenin called left-wing communism, which he also referred to as an infantile disorder. That is to say, a form of left-wing communism which really adopts all sorts of peculiar views and positions which seem to be undermining Western civilization. That seems to be the sort of people that are referred to as elites. The old version of elite just merely meant those at the top of society in the sense of the order of society, and consequently the monarchy and the aristocracy were thought of as the very elite end, the grand bourgeoisie, and then further down where you and I belong.